girls with their nails done now. Girls with their nails done. I like the girls with their nails done. Girls with their nails done. I like the girls with their nails done. Girls with their nails done now.
Buenos días. Good morning. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. How we doing? How'd we sleep? Morning, Marvin. Morning, Ponzi, Margin, Chef, Golf Nut. I am Pat. Dino. Jacob, what's going on? Powell at open. Yeah, 9 o'clock. 9:30. Right? 9:30? Yeah, 9:30. Let's open the market and let's get Powell speaking right away. Sending prayers your way, Chef. Hope your mother is doing as best as she can. Morning, guys. Morning, Hamster. So, interesting morning here. We got Tesla delivery numbers, I believe, at 9 o'clock. I believe that is the time we expect for it to come out. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think around 9 o'clock today, we got those Tesla delivery numbers. Should be very interesting. What a day for Tesla yesterday. That dip buy at $176 in the long term is looking mighty fine right now. You guys, I was talking about that a few months back, saying that I was buying some Tesla shares. And looking good now, right? Just a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, and looking fantastic on the long-term purchase. So love that. I think I'm going to continue to look for, just sort of getting myself into a nice Tesla position there in the long term. Happy with some of that recent action there. Another sideways-ish day for the beast, the NVIDIA beast. Sort of not much going on there, but still a lot to be seen, I think. I'm definitely keeping a close eye on this one. Moved down into that demand yesterday on the SPY, on the NQ. Saw that push back higher, right? That demand hold once again came in. So that level stayed true. This morning, though, a little bit of slippage down into some major levels again. And it's to be seen how this morning looks. We got Powell at open at 9:30. Definitely going to be a main driver of maybe some volatility in the early morning. So some interesting stuff. Tomorrow, on top of all of this, tomorrow is a half day on the market. Thursday, the market's closed. And then Friday will probably be a ghost town. So today's the last really big day, I would say, of the week. The largest, probably the most volume of the week is possibly yesterday and today. The rest is going to be probably pretty light. So, interesting week. Yeah. Did all right yesterday. Kept it really light, kept it really chill. Found some really nice entries with the group. We traded NVIDIA longs, and we traded some SPY longs. So some nice stuff there, as well as Tesla. So I was able to catch a piece of those, but unfortunately did not catch the full meat on Tesla. Would have liked to get the full meat of that move, but pretty much was just straight up out of the gates, which was sort of hard, right? It was sort of hard to find that entry. If you're actually trading off of real entries and proper risk reward, pretty difficult to find that entry on Tesla yesterday. You had to wait for that pullback later day into around that 208 level. That was, I think it was 208 or 205? It was back down. Yeah, back into that 208 level intraday. Found a nice little entry there. We'll go over all that today. But yeah, that's the recap of me. That's the 2-minute recap of my day yesterday. Today, we got a lot of stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. It's 8:04. It's about to be 8:05. Press that like button for me, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are here every single morning starting at 8 a.m. You can come here, get your level set, prepare your trading day every morning, and let's go ahead and get started. So today, economic calendar, you guys can see right here, Jerome Powell speaking at 9:30. Interesting time for Jerome Powell to be speaking. Not sure what to expect, right? Not sure what to expect. Haven't seen a at open Powell speech in quite some time. So let's see what happens there. 30 minutes after that, we have the JOLTS, the job openings. So that'll be interesting as well. So definitely some reasons to be a little cautious this morning at 9:30, 10 o'clock. The first 30 minutes of the market should see a lot of push and pull from economic data. So be careful there. Tomorrow, half day, market closes at 1 o'clock. We do have the non-farm employment change early morning. We have our unemployment claims. At 10 o'clock, we have our ISM services PMI. Market closes at 1 o'clock, and then for some reason, they have FOMC minutes when the market's closed. I mean, that's to be expected, or they're not going to cancel that because the market's closed. But yeah, market is closed when that FOMC minutes is released. So that's interesting there. Thursday, market is closed fully, whole day. And then Friday, we come back for a probably ghost town trading day. Average hourly earnings, non-farm employment change, and the unemployment rate. Okay? But today, the big event, 9:30, 10 o'clock. And then on top of that, we have the Tesla delivery numbers, I believe, at 9 o'clock. So that is going to be important for Tesla as well. We'll go over that in just a second. Let's dive into the Nasdaq, and let's go over what's going on this morning. So yesterday, once again, we move lower. We hold that 19.9. We reclaim that 19.9, and we push into the 20,085. So we pretty much did exactly what we talked about yesterday, right? We went from channel low to channel high, right? That's all we did yesterday. That's the only move that was made. We went from channel low to channel high, and now we're going from channel high to channel low, right? The same exact thing over and over again. Right? You just continue to do it until it breaks, right? You just continue to do that. So we took some SPY longs yesterday, took it for a nice little ride, right? Off that, as the ES was holding demand, as the NASDAQ was over that 19.9, right? Trading those longs off the channel lows. That's what the risk reward is at that point. So a nice little ride on those longs yesterday. We push into the same exact supply rejection level, and you see the exact same downside move. So nothing out of the ordinary yesterday, same exact channel trading. And today is going to be all about what happens once again at this 19.9. So you can see once again today, we are trading right back down at that 19.9, 19.9, 19.9, 19.9. Yesterday, we reclaimed that 19.9, and look at this today right now. So does the NASDAQ hold this 19,900 demand today? Do we get that push once again to the upside towards that 20,085? That's going to be something we watch for today. If we break this 19,900 and we actually confirm some downside, then we do have that daily 20 SMA and that 19,750 down below around that we have the 19,780 20 SMA and then 19,750, some big demand down there. So if we do get extended downside, you do need to be careful of sort of that reversal move down at that demand below. That is sort of why I believe this was wicked very aggressively higher yesterday, because it just seems like there's a lot of buying down in this zone, right? You had a lot of buying pressure coming off that 750, off that daily 20 SMA. And as long as you're above this daily 20 SMA, there continues to be that, pullback long opportunity that continues to show up on this market. So no shortage of that again yesterday. Big pullback, big long opportunity. And it looks like that continues to be the status quo here. So I'm definitely going to be interested to see if there's some longs today off this 19,900. That is definitely somewhere I'll be watching today, obviously depending on what the market looks like after the Powell speech. QQQ, exact same analysis. We talked about the 478 demand lows. We talked about the 483 supply highs. All we did yesterday was reclaim the 478, push back higher, right? Come up into the 483, reject it, and now we're right back at the 483 again. 478. So what are we looking for today? We're looking to see, is there a long opportunity of 478, maybe trade it back higher into the 483 and just trade the channel. That's all we can assume at this point, right? We're not going to try to assume things that the market has not shown us. So all we can assume at this point is that we have another potential long entry at 478 today. Do we see that set up? Is that something to be watching for? Absolutely. If we break below that 478 and actually hold below it, then I think you can get that downside continuation towards that 475. But here's the thing, right, guys? This is just, it's hard to explain this in terms of, it's hard for me to explain this just over words, right? This is going to come from a lot of experience, losing from it, understanding, how the market is trading, the volatility in the morning, and just being protective, right? You can see yesterday was a wild roller coaster ride at that 478 level. And so when I see this type of wild action, right, straight down, straight back up, straight back down, straight back up, right, when I start to witness this, I stay very cautious, right? And so this is something that comes from experience. I've seen this before. It's hard for me to just put it into words exactly what to do in this situation. It's going to cause, you're going to have to lose a lot of times trying to trade this action before you can say, all right, let me just calm down for a second, right? Let me stop myself from being an idiot, right? When you see this much movement right at this level, it's just market volatility and a major level trying to find, that base. And so you can see later in the day, if you just waited a little bit, right? And this is where we actually caught our longs. If you just waited a little bit and didn't get so excited right in the first 30 minutes of the market, you found a beautiful base that formed slowly, right? A nice slow consolidation, nice slowdown of market action right here, right? And that eventual long that did come in, right? But that morning action, which we talk about a lot, right? Maybe waiting until 10 o'clock, right? Waiting for that economic data to get out of the way, waiting for that market to slow down, right? Sometimes, guys, it's the best thing to do because look at what happened after around 10:30, right? Look at how much this cleared up. Look at how much that stayed true at that 478, and look at that long that did come in, right? But if you just, I think the biggest, I would say that majority of losses that take place is in the morning, the first 30 minutes, and in just the intense volatility. And I get involved in that time too, right? I like to get involved between that 9:45 to 10 o'clock time frame, but I don't get involved when I see this, right? If I don't see my level being respected perfectly, I stay away, okay? I stay away. I need this to form, okay? I need the market to prove to me that it's going to sit right above my level, right? Or it's going to sit right below my level, right? I need my level to start to be validated. I need my level to start to be respected. This is not a respect of this level, right? We went straight under it, straight back above it, straight back below it, straight back above it, right? How do I trade that? How do I trade off this 478 level if it is not being respected at all, right? You can see this is just a straight knife through this level 4 times early morning. But eventually, you do get that respect, right? Look at the respect that level started to get. and look at the result of it, right? So it's hard for me to put this into words. It's very hard for me to just say, oh, do this when this happens, okay? That's very difficult. I can't do that. But I can try to give you some kind of a heads up to be cautious in this type of environment, right? If we get that again today, right? If Powell comes out on the speech and we start seeing this dance that's going on, right? You start seeing this craziness, just don't trade it, please, right? Wait for this to actually start to sit and maintain and sit right above, right? And then you can set up your long entry, right? Without being sort of, oh my God, it keeps going up and down. I need to get involved. No, you don't, right? You don't need to get involved in this, okay? Wait for things to slow down. You can stay patient, right? And look at what resulted from patience yesterday. A very nice long, right? And the same thing on the ES. It was the same exact thing on the ES yesterday. Look at what happened once the market sort of slowed down, right? We had that big drop into demand, big pop, big drop back down, and then look at how that calmed down, right? Look at how that calmed down. See how that calmed down? See how the market started to consolidate? Not in such a major range, right? Started to see consolidation, started to be able to set up those actual trade entries, right? Not in this wild action, right? This move and this move right here, guys, and I talked to you guys in the Discord yesterday, this right here instantly turns me off, okay? This right here gets the horned up, gambler traders involved. They really like that stuff, right? They're, oh man, look at this shit. That is exactly what I don't like, okay? Because how do you trade this, right? It might present like 100, 200% SPY trades in either direction, but how are you going to trade that, right? How are you going to trust what's going to happen there? You can't, right? I need this slow. Let me just slow it down, right? Slow it down. Let me see that nice consolidation. That gets me interested, not this morning craziness, okay? Stay away from it. I'm telling you, stay away from it. You do not need to get involved in that, all right? Let's go to that ES. So today, I did change my ES levels just a little bit, and I want to go ahead and show you what I changed here, and something that is actually extremely important, right? This is possibly the most important thing to realize right now, okay? And let me go ahead and talk about this for just one moment. So pay attention, all right? Pay attention for just 1 second here. This right here, what you are seeing at this current moment is you are seeing a time correction, okay? This is what the S&P right now is time correction. That is what's going on. A time correction is going on, in my opinion. Why do I say that? Because right now, the daily 20 SMA has caught up to price action, not because the market has moved lower, but because we have stayed sideways, okay? That is very important. It's something to realize here. We have seen this in the past, right, where that sort of the market, it extends, right? It stays sideways, and the 20 SMA catches up to price action, and then it causes more upside, right? So this is what I believe is happening right now. I believe you're seeing a little bit of a time correction on the market. The 20 SMA has caught up to price action because we have traded sideways for so long. So you sort of have that catch up of the daily 20. You are not moving down into the daily 20 because of a pull. What did I press? How did I get yellow? Whoa. I like yellow. Yellow is, it's Y. All right. I like Y. I like yellow. So you are not getting this pullback back towards that 20, right? You're actually just getting a time correction, which is allowing the daily 20 SMA to catch up. So here's the problem today, right? Here's the problem for shorts. And it's important to pay attention to, okay? Because if you like this breakdown on the ES today, right? I have liked the breakdown idea on the ES. I have liked the breakdown idea under 55.18 for some downside action. But the problem now is that daily 20 SMA is getting really close, right? It's getting really close, right? So I'm not going to be able to short this market, guys, into this daily 20 SMA today. It's just not something that I'm going to be able to logically do. It's just that I will not be able to gain confidence in shorting today if we are sitting this close to that daily 20 SMA. I think a lot of people will think the same way, right? So I'm going to need that market to break under that daily 20 today for me to have any interest in the short side, because that is a very dangerous spot to be shorting the market into, right? We have seen many, many times the market pull back into that daily 20 and very aggressively wick off that area and hold this thing higher, right? So this is the problem, right? We can see, look at how this daily 20 SMA has been catching up to price action. And so now today, you got to be a little bit careful of trying to short this thing into that daily 20. If we can get a break under it and you see intraday a very clear rejection of it, then sure, right? That's where this can flip, and maybe we move down into our 54.80, right? So a little bit something to pay attention to there, okay? Just a little bit of something that changes for me here because of how much this has been moving higher. You're up, the 20 daily SMA is up to 54.96 now, and so that could be something to pay attention to. Right now, you can see that previous day low is holding at 55.05. And the level that needs to break for me now, right? Now the level that I need to see us above today before getting short, right? Before getting short is, guys, because your daily 20 SMA, I mean, let me double check. Yeah, yours is wrong. Okay, it's the daily 20 SMA, guys. It's not the SMA. All right, we talked about this 1,000 times. I've talked about this 10,000 times on this live stream. Daily 20 SMA. Okay, right here. Daily 20 SMA. It's the daily SMAs. We are looking at the daily SMA. That is where we are looking. That is where it is. Daily 20 SMA. Not just the 20 SMA. It's where it is on the daily chart. Okay. All right. So that's where that daily 20 SMA is, 54.96. You're getting awfully close to it, and you can see this previous low from yesterday, Monday. You can see it is holding at 55.05, 55.05, 55.05. You can see that hold that's coming in again. 55.05 is the level to be watching. All right, so you can see we are holding that low again at 55.05. However, I'm cautious now of longing into this 55.18 level. All right, now this is where I need to see this above. All right, that's the problem now. So you need to be cautious of that long into 55.18 now. You can see that that could now turn into a rejection spot. All right, so be careful there. 55.18 would be absolutely a level I need to see reclaimed today. If we can reclaim that 55.18 today, if we can get that demand hold and that hold above 55.18, that would be the hold level to be looking for. 55.18, I need that to be reclaimed today, right? That is also a reclaim over these highs. So that 55.18 is very important to me. I need a reclaim of that level today before I can look to long this market, all right? If I can get over that 55.18, then I would target possibly this 55.40 from yesterday. We had a very clear 55.40 rejection yesterday. That was pre-market highs right in this general area. So let's keep that on our charts at the 55.40. If we get over the 18, 55.40, and then, of course, the 55.50 supply highs. But right now, we can see that 55.05 area holding very strong, and that daily 20 SMA below is something to be cautious of. Okay? Guys, if your daily SMA is wrong, it is most likely because you have not adjusted for contract change on the ES, right? If I go to here and I go to futures and I take off adjust for contract change, you can see the daily SMA is right at 54.67. That is exactly where yours is, Steven. So you need to go ahead and go to chart settings. You need to go to futures, and you need to adjust for contract change. Bam. Okay. SPY. Let's go to the SPY. So the SPY, I believe the level to watch today is 542. Okay, a little bit of a change here for me on the SPY as well. I did some adjusting today. 542 is that Monday low. 542 is these lows that have been holding up, and 542 is still that level that I believe the SPY can hold above, right? You've seen many, 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 many wicks as you moved lower into this 542 zone, and I believe this can still be a level that holds, something to be careful of. So 542 is that major demand low. Pay attention to that. Where do I need the SPY to get above today to feel confident on longs? I need us above 544. Okay, 544 is a very clear rejection spot, and we can see if we go to the short-term time frames, we are under that 544 this morning. We're under that pre-market or that after-hours low. I need above 544. I need a strong reclaim here. That would be the exact level I'd look for that long opportunity today. If we can hold the 542, reclaim the 544, then I'd look for that long right above that level. Okay? The other thing to be cautious of, guys, if you do short this market, you need to pay attention to where this daily 20 SMA is. That is absolutely a level that could cause this market to wick back higher. You do not want to be heavily exposed to shorts into a daily 20 SMA. Okay, so be careful of that level. 542, 544. I need a reclaim of 544 today to like the longs back towards maybe that 547. If we break or if we reject that 544, we could trade back to the 542. And under the 542 would be that move to the daily 20 SMA. All right. Let's go to the YM. Dow Jones, Mike Jones, Daniel Jones. Another rejection of those highs yesterday. Very clear. Look at how clear that is at 39.7. Another beautiful fade of that level. Right back down into the demand lows. Right back down into that 20 and 50 daily SMA. So pretty much no changes here, guys. 39.7 and 39.300. You're in a 400-point range, and you continue to trade within that channel in the Dow. Russell, nice downside yesterday on the Russell, right back into the 20,000 or 2035. Look at how perfect that is. Again, guys, I do not update these Russell levels or Dow levels on a daily basis. Everything you see here is from our analysis yesterday. I have not adjusted these levels whatsoever. So you can see how these levels are maintaining themselves. 2035, again, nice drop and nice hold of that 2035. That looks to be a main level to see if a maintain can come in. And now you are back under this 20,060. I'm sorry, not 20,000, 2,060, my bad. 2,060. So now this has to be cautious of a rejection spot. 2,060 and that daily 20 is now a potential rejection spot to be cautious of. All right. More sideways action on that. Nasdaq, you can see right now, guys, there is a extremely clear low. There's really not much of a cleaner level on the market right now. 19,900 is got to be the clearest demand low that we currently have on the market. And you can see again this morning, guys, you are absolutely holding it. So if we break under it, that could get a little bit crazy. But here's the thing, guys, okay? You need it to clear up. And let me reiterate this once again. We talked about this in the beginning of the live stream. Let me reiterate it again. You need it to clear up, okay? You do not need to get involved in 5-minute candles that go straight up and straight down between this level. You need it to do this, okay? Nice downside. You need it to start seeing it like this, right? Slow it down, start to see it sort of stick right under that level, start to see it weaken, right? And then you look for it. You don't get involved on this, okay? This is the same thing that you look for, right, that we've seen at these supply high levels, right? Look at this. So you see this supply high on, this is Thursday of last week, right? See how this slowed down? You had a nice pop, you had a nice rejection, you had a nice pop again, and look how it slowed down. It slowed down 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes of just sort of sitting right under that level, giving you that confirmation that we can try that trade. You got to stay patient at these levels. Look at this, right? It moved lower. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes. You just sort of base above that demand low. Then you can go ahead and take that trade, right? We're not going to trade if it's looking like this in the morning, right? Like this. This is dirty. This is messy. This is dangerous. So you want to let it slow down, right? Let that volatility fade and let it start to really show you some kind of a hold. Then I would look to go ahead and trade that play, right? Play that trade. Okay? So watch those levels. Right? We talk about this all the time. It's about how we react at the levels. We can have the levels on our charts. That's the key. That's number one, right? Let's get those levels on our charts. Let's make them correct. But then number two, which is the most important part, is the experience. It's going through the system. Not the system. What's the word I'm looking for? Going through, the attempts, the trial and error. Let me see how to trade at my level. Let me go ahead and watch the price action at my level. Let me get used to how these stocks react at these levels. That's number two, and that's really the most important. That one takes a lot of time. That's really if you can master that, that's when you start firing on all cylinders, right? If you can master to read the price action at the key levels and understand what to do at those levels, that's where you start to fire on all cylinders. Go through the process, yeah. All right, let's continue. 1,800 people, 600 likes. Ouch. Pressing that add button. Where's my water? Be right back. Delicious. Straight vodka this morning. Press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Por favor. All right. Tesla. So, man, what a move yesterday, huh? What a move yesterday. Oof. Straight out of the gates. Yesterday, we were talking about that hold over the 198.87, right? We were talking about that hold over 198.87 in the early morning, and that thing just absolutely ripped through the 203, through the 205, right? Ripped through that supply. And really, we got to go down to the 2-minute chart, right? Because there was some key holds on the intraday that you could have traded, right? You know, we had that 205 level, we had that 208 level. So there was a nice little opportunity here at 205. Now, here's why I didn't trade that, and I'll explain it to you very quickly, okay? I could not trade this 205 retest long. We were talking about it in the group. We said, hey, let's look for that pullback to 205. There's that 208 rejection point, and then that 205. So we said, all right, let's look for that retest to 205, and maybe let's see if that's a long opportunity. Now, the reason I stayed away from it is because I didn't want to long right into the 200 SMA. So that was very tough for me there. I did stay away from this one. As you guys heard, I was very patient yesterday, very patient on what to take, because on the flip side, guys, as the Tesla was moving higher yesterday, the Nasdaq was going straight down. And every semiconductor was literally looking like this. Every semiconductor, as Tesla went up yesterday, was vertically down, almost like was moving left, right? The semiconductors were almost moving left on the chart yesterday. That's how straight down they were. So it was very difficult to trust this move on Tesla. You had that pop pretty much without the market into 208. You pulled back into 205, created a beautiful retest long, but I stayed away from it because I did not want to long into that 200 SMA. I've seen in the past where you get that pullback, you get that retest, you get that 200 SMA, and then bam, straight back down. So I was very cautious of that. I did stay away from it. Where I ended up catching a long yesterday was actually above 208. So right here, we saw a nice little pullback intraday into that 208. We created this little downtrending formation, and right here is where we took some longs yesterday for a little scalp back to the upside. But that was really about it for me on Tesla yesterday. Later day, once again, you held that 208, but now today, right? Today, here's the problem, right? We're back under 208. So right here, under 208, very important, right? Very important. That is a major daily chart high, or previous low right here. This is 20. It's like right in here, 208, right? See these previous lows right here, that 208 level. Let me go ahead and extend this to the left, right? Look right here on the daily chart. This is 208. See this? 208 on the daily chart, which gapped down. So I'd be very cautious today, okay? We have to see what the delivery numbers do. But right now, we can see that 208 is absolutely stuck. So a little bit cautious on that today. I would want to see Tesla very clearly get back over that 208 and very clearly hold above it to take that next long opportunity. So over 208, definitely something I'm watching today. Keep an eye on that. 205 and the 200 SMA, which is around 206, will be a whole zone that I watch to see if it holds, right? Does Tesla pull back, and does it hold this area today? That's another thing I'll be watching. If we do not hold that 205 and we do not hold that 200 SMA, then I think you're going to trade right back into these previous highs, right at this 203, okay? So I'm watching the 205. I'm watching the 200 SMA. I'm watching 203, and then, of course, I'm watching that 208. Those are my levels that I'll be watching today. If we get over 208 and we hold above it, I'll look for that long. If we pull back into 205 and start to see that hold, I'll look to see if that sets up a long. If we break under 205, we're going to move back down to 203, which is these previous highs right here, and I'll look to see maybe if that sets up something to watch as well. Under 203, sort of feels like the whole thing sort of runs away, right? If you get under 203 here, it sort of feels like momentum will sort of die off. You probably trade back to the 198.80, right? That would be a move that you don't really want to see. I would not want to see Tesla back under 203. That, I think, would be a momentum-killing move, okay? All right, NVIDIA. So, man, this thing, I still think that this thing is waiting. It's something is forming here. There's no doubt about it. But, man, right now it's just not quite doing anything. But I want to be a part of this. I'm going to continue to try to stay long on NVIDIA. I'm going to try to just keep exposure to longs in NVIDIA. I'm going to keep on taking some next week contracts, keep on just keeping it sort of light. I know that at some point I'm really interested to see whether this does result in something on NVIDIA. I know this is a nice consolidation for now. I like how this thing continues to hold above this 122.50 as well as this 118. I like these holds, right? Every time it comes down into this zone right here, it sees the bounces, right? Look at how this thing bounces out of this zone. So this whole zone is where I'd like to be long. I'd like to stay long exposed in this area. As long as NVIDIA is above 118, I want to be long in this area, right? This is sort of my springboard area. Anything in here is a springboard in my eyes. So right now it's not doing much. It's consolidating. It's sort of staying sideways. But I like yesterday, and let me go ahead and show you the daily chart. I like this daily chart yesterday. This daily chart yesterday shows a very clear major daily chart wick on an attempt to move lower. Look at all the buying that stepped up above that 118, right? Look at that daily chart wick. You move lower, you wick right back higher. You see a lot of wicks down at this 118 that caused this upside move. I am very interested in this consolidation leading to the next move higher. Something I will absolutely continue to watch. It may not be ready yet, right? And I probably will take some losses along the ride, and I'm okay with that, right? I'm okay with that. There's a very good chance that I take some losses as I try to be long on NVIDIA. I'm still going to have stop losses. I'm still going to make sure I keep it in check. But, yeah, I mean, I definitely will continue to take some small losses in this area. But my hope is that once this does start to move, right, it's going to pay me off and just sort of start to, make back those losses if I do take some in this chop. So keeping an eye on it. I don't know when it's going to start to move. It's going to be something to monitor, but it looks like we're probably going to need to get above 126.50 at the very least, right? We're probably going to need to get above 126.50. If we get above 126.50, then I think that's where you start to wake up. 130, 133, right at the next levels if you can get above that 126.50. If we get a very aggressive drop, I would continue to look for longs at the 118. The only time I would change my mind here, guys, the only time I would change my mind here is if NVIDIA breaks 118. I would be a little bit less interested. The only other spot I would be watching is our golden zone that I don't know why I took this off, at 115, right? 115 is really that last level of support. If you break 115, then this whole thing breaks down. So it's really 115, 118 are the two big spots. I want to continue to look to see if I can be long off those levels. We'll see, right? We'll see. It's a tough read now, but for now, NVIDIA's just been trading pretty much sideways. I'd like to see maybe this 122.50 hold today, and that 126.50 is a tough level above. AMD, huge breakdown yesterday, pretty much vertical off the open, vertical down off the open, and we moved right down into that 154. AMD, still a shit show, still a really weak stock. You're under that 159 now. I would look for that 159 and that 50 SMA to turn into rejections. That's something I would be looking for today. Watch to see if AMD can pop back into that 159, pop back into that daily 50, and then see if this thing does fail, okay? Careful of the demand lows at 154. If AMD breaks those demand lows at 154, you might be in for some more downside here. All right, if this thing breaks this low right here, there might be some more downside there. So watch that 154. SMCI, yeah, just sort of dead yesterday. It had a drop, it had a pop, and it just sort of sitting here at 800. I think 800 is going to be the level to watch, right? What does 800 do? Right now, it's just sitting right above it at 800. Do we see an 800 hold today? Do we see 800 rejection today? I'm not a fan of trading SMCI as of late. It's been a little bit, tough on an intraday basis. But yesterday, you do see a nice little 800 hold, resulting in a little bit of upside. But again, not a very clean chart. I would stay away from it personally. But you can watch that 800 level. It's definitely a big spot. If you hold that 800, we could get another sort of move higher. If we do fail under 800, I'd expect another drop towards 760. TSM's been trading in a very clear channel. This sort of reminds me of NVIDIA. I have a very same mindset on TSM as NVIDIA, guys. Look at what TSM is doing, right? Last time we came off the daily 20 SMA, we got a big pop. We pulled back to the daily 20 SMA, and we're consolidating. I definitely still think this is a strong consolidation on TSM, something I will absolutely continue to watch. I like this base that's potentially trying to form here at $170 per share. You can see right here we had highs, lows, and look at the 170 level that's sort of sitting right here. And this is also on top of it being 170, this is also the daily 20 SMA here, right? Look at where that daily 20 is. That daily 20 is now catching up into current price action at that 170 level. I would absolutely continue to watch to see if this 170 could be that next long opportunity. This is definitely something I'd continue to monitor. If we can maintain 170 on a strong market, I would expect this to be the next long opportunity, possibly back into 176, possibly back into 178. This is definitely the spot I'll be watching. If you break under 170 on TSM, that sort of kills the momentum, right? And you can very clearly see the 176 rejections. Let's go to Qualcomm. Qualcomm is stuck under 200. You can watch to see if that 200 rejects again today. If the market is weak, watch that 200, possibly back down into that daily 50, that 194 area. If you get over that 200, then I would be looking to see if that's a hold, right? What's the SMH looking like? That's actually something to be looking at, yeah. SMH, yeah, it's holding that daily 20. It's trying, right? It's trying to build that base there. You're holding above these previous highs on the SMH right here at 256.50. You can see this little break and retest that's going on here, right? You can see previous highs right there, turning into support right here, trying to hold above that daily 20. Just right now, you can see it's really sort of pinned, but there's going to be a move on this. I don't know which direction, right? Let me not be just biased to one direction, right? Something, either to the upside, of course, or this breakdown move. But there is absolutely going to be a move. There is a move forming and brewing on the semiconductors here. You can very clearly see it on the SMH as well. So it looks like that SMH needs to maybe break this 264.50. You can see right here. Right, so we're pretty much pinned between these lows, right, and these previous highs. You're basically just pinned right in this area. But I would definitely say that something is coming here on the semiconductors. Okay. Let's go to Amazon. It seems like everyone's talking about Amazon in the chat. Yeah, Amazon, nice little pop. What a beautiful hold of 193 yesterday on Amazon. What a beautiful hold. I mean, pretty much exactly what we talked about in this live stream, guys. And also in the Desi TA section, and I know Piff, you pay attention, so nice job on that one, brother. 193, look at the beauty of that hold yesterday. We pulled back right into that 193 demand, and just look at that perfect hold. Love it, love to see it. Beautiful demand hold, beautiful hold of the previous day lows, beautiful hold of this previous support here. Look at the long that was created off that level. Very nice off 193, right into the 198. If you hold over 198 today, you're going higher, right? If you hold over 198 today, you're going higher. If you can hold above yesterday's highs, hold above these lows, hold above that high from Friday. If you see that hold above that 198 today, you're going higher, right? And you're probably going to look for that 200 spot, okay? 198, that's your level to watch today. Look to see if that hold can form above it, similar to what you saw yesterday at 193, right? Look at how that thing just pulled back to that level and absolutely created the perfect wick and continuation off that level. Beautiful. Microsoft, Nice squeeze yesterday on Microsoft, seemingly out of nowhere intraday, which was pretty wild. We had a hold over 451 intraday as well, which was very nice. So you can see today, what are you looking for? I would look for us to pull back to 451. This would be the long that I'd look for right here. I needed to clean up here a little bit. So 451. 451, that's the level I'd look for that long entry today on Microsoft. Google, nice consolidation on Google, right? This could be like Amazon, right? This could very well be like Amazon. Very similar charts, Google and Amazon. And so I would absolutely be watching Google today, 183 and that 182 area. I would look to see if this sets up your long as well, right? See these previous highs right here at 182? That could be a fantastic long entry at that 182, right? Right here, 182. If you can get that pullback and that long, I would absolutely look for that. That would be a beautiful structure long. Beautiful break and retest. Break, retest those previous breakout points right there. Look to see if that creates your long entry. That's a great spot to watch today. That 183 held yesterday, so I'd watch it as well, but I like the 182 a little bit better. And, of course, just be careful up at that 186. Meta, not Mia. Meta. Meta, beautiful fail of that 505 yesterday. That was sick. 505, another fail here in the pre-market. Respecting these levels very well. Next level I'd be watching down below is 498, and of course that 492. So 498, 492 are two demand levels to be watching today. And then, of course, the rejection spot is 505 and 511. Okay? I'm not really too interested in Meta here, but that 505 rejection is something to watch today, and just watch that 498 hold. Let's go to Kava real quick because this thing has looked fantastic on the 4-hour chart. Would love to see if this can really start to move, guys. Look at these wicks on the 4-hour chart. I mean, tell me that does not scream that buyers are sitting there. So I'm definitely watching that, right? That $90 level just wicked and wicked and wicked and wicked and wicked. Some very clear holds at that $90 level there. I would want to see us hold over the 93. I need to see a solid base form at 93 today. I want to see something form here at 93. I'd like to see this really try to maintain above it. If it can, I'd look for that next opportunity, possibly up into that 97. You need to get over 97 for more upside, but right now, I really like how that 90 just held strong on Kava. That'll continue to be a level to watch on Kava. Let's go to Netflix. Netflix, very clear hold of that 664 yesterday. We talked about this level, 664, 664, 664, that daily 20 SMA. Look at the result off of that level. Very nice. That's very clear. The upside rejection point is very clear as well at 674. And so right now, you're just in a 10-point range on Netflix. You need to get above 674 or below 664 for that next move. So I would make sure you have an alert. I'm going to have my alert here. And I'm going to have my alert right here. And I'm going to make sure I know if Netflix breaks above or below one of those levels. This is a incorrect alert. Let me go ahead and change that real quick. I need to go below, create alert, at or below that level. So definitely watch that 10-point range on Netflix. Yeah, MongoDB is in a gap fill. That is something that you can be watching here, guys. You can see here on the daily chart, MongoDB is in this very large gap fill. You can see all the way up to 307. Right now, what I would be watching is, I have an alert actually on this stock. You guys can see that alert. What am I looking for on MDB? I'm looking for a pullback to 252 right here. I want that pullback. I want that previous high right here, and I want that previous high right here to get retested. If we retest that 252, that would be my entry point for more gap fill continuation. So something to watch there, 252 would be my entry point. That's what I would watch. Snow is another one that's been heating up a little bit. And I would say, I know some of you guys are watching this one. I'm not a big fan of Snow. I'll reiterate that. I don't love trading stocks that look this way. There has been a little bit of excitement lately over it, so I will cover it for you. But I would be just very, very cautious here, guys. Be careful up into this 145 area and this daily 50 SMA, okay? Please be careful up here. This has been a crazy straight-up move. You have a daily 50 SMA here. You have previous lows. Be careful in this area at 145, okay? Not a big fan of it. It is sort of returning back to it has some volume coming back in it, but It's not a great chart. I think there's better opportunities, but I would say just watch that 145. Okay. Adobe, yeah, Adobe made a very nice move. Adobe is in the gap fill as well. And I remember us talking about this Adobe. I sort of forgot about it since the earnings. We talked about this after the earnings back in early June. We talked about this hold over that 530 area, and look at how this thing just held over 530. Beautiful. So a really nice hold over that 530. You can see right here, it sort of just maintained that level for like 2 weeks. Right? Look at how this thing just chopped and chopped and chopped. Finally, you got your little move there. Here's what I would be careful of, guys. If you are trading Adobe, I just want to give you some insight, what to watch out for. I would watch out for this 570 spot. Big spot on Adobe, right? Look at this daily chart. Big spot on Adobe. Major rejections and major holds at this level in the past. This is a big spot at 570. Be careful there, all right? We can go to Dell real quick. Yeah, Dell, it's doing a dance, man. It's doing the dance, right? Look at the retest hold that's going on in Dell. So if you can find strength again on semis, like brute strength, like we had a couple weeks ago, all right, if you can find that brute strength, I mean, it's doing the retest dance, right? We can see right here that 135 level is an interesting spot. Let me go ahead and delete these real quick. That 135 level is absolutely an interesting spot, right? Previous highs. Look at that low that's forming over the last 2 weeks, right? Look at that low forming at 135. So an interesting spot. Looks like it needs to get above this 145, though, right? Look at what it's doing at 145. Why 145? Take a look at this, right? Look at these previous lows right here, and look how that's turning into a rejection. So I would want it over 145, over these previous lows, reclaim those previous lows, and look to see if that can hold, right? 145, okay? But I do like that little retest hold at 135 for now. Let's end this with Apple, and then let's get the hell out of here. So Apple... Man, I've been talking about Apple, having a second leg higher. That news on Apple is still very positive for the stock. And so Apple is not going to just go straight higher forever. It needs to have a consolidation period, right? That's how stocks move higher. Big pop, consolidation, second leg higher, right? Very possible to have that second leg higher on Apple. And you're starting to feel, it's starting to feel that way. You're starting to see that hold of that 208. You're seeing that higher hold at 212. You're now seeing a little bit of a higher hold at 215, right? You're starting to get that stair step. So I would be paying attention to this 215 on Apple. On Apple, watch that 215 hold. If that holds, you can possibly trade back into that 220. Okay? AVGO has to get over 1650. If it does, I like more upside. And then last but not least, I'll do CMG because I actually wanted to check it out myself. CMG, yeah, not great. I mean, just sort of dying a little bit. I'd say that $60 level is the spot to watch. If it can hold that 60, that could be very nice. Watch that 60 spot. Already did Microsoft. All right, let's get a quick peek at that Nasdaq future. What's she been doing? It's still just sitting right above that 19.9. So let's see what happens here. ES still sitting right above that 55.05. Do we wait? Nah, no, we don't wait. Delivery numbers, guys, at Tesla at 9 o'clock. So be aware of that. HIMS looks fine, man. HIMS is back on its back on the pill, man. HIMS is fine. That short report, it's just a sketchy thing. A lot of misinterpretation in that report. A lot of false narrative. The guy that they said it felt like that he was on his deathbed took 2.5 times the normal dosage. And so it's just not something that I would exit a position over. I think HIMS looks just fine, right? Nice recovery off that drop, pretty much right back to where it started, and I will continue to hold this thing long. I'm not concerned in the slightest. The guy that came out with that short report also holds shorts in his hedge fund, so that's ridiculous, right? Why can't I do that? Why can't I buy NVIDIA longs and then report to CNBC that, hey, Desi trades long NVIDIA? Bam, right? Why don't I get that power? Bullshit. All right, guys, press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate all the support. Thank you, as always, sincerely. Continue continue to help me grow this channel, man. Continue to help me. It's all about you guys. You guys are the ones that keep this alive. So I appreciate it. Share the channel, share the videos, let your friends know. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace and love.